It's 2 a.m. The house is silent. Sarah is unconscious on the bathroom floor, her blood sugar plummeting so fast her body cannot respond. In 30 minutes, she'll be in a coma. In an hour, she could be dead. The only one awake is her dog. And what happens next defies everything we think we know about the bond between humans and animals. This is the story of the dog that saved its owner's life, and what it teaches us about the depth of connection we share with these incredible creatures. We all love our dogs. We call them family. We trust them with our hearts, our homes, our daily routines. But most of us will never truly know what our dogs are capable of until the moment everything falls apart. This is one of those stories. A real account of a dog who didn't just sense something was wrong, but took action in a way that shattered every expectation. No formal training, no service dog certification, just instinct, love, and an unbreakable bond. Sarah's story isn't unique because it is rare. It's unique because it shows us what's always been there, hidden beneath the surface of every tail wag and every loyal glance. The truth is, dogs are capable of extraordinary things, and sometimes those things save lives. In this video, I am going to walk you through what happened that night, step by step. How Sarah's dog recognized the emergency, how it responded, and what we can learn from this story about the dogs in our own lives, and the bonds we might be taking for granted. Let us dive in. Sarah had been living with type 1 diabetes for 12 years. She managed it well, monitored her glucose levels, adjusted her insulin, knew the warning signs. But that night, something went wrong. Gone to bed feeling fine. Maybe a little off, but nothing alarming. Around 1:30 a.m., she woke up disoriented. Her vision was blurry. Her hands were shaking. She recognized the signs immediately. Her blood sugar was dropping fast. She stumbled out of bed and made it to the bathroom, reaching for the glucose tablets she kept in the cabinet. But before she could open the bottle, her legs gave out. She collapsed onto the tile floor, conscious but unable to move, her body shutting down as her glucose levels continued to plummet. Her phone was in the bedroom. Her roommate was out of town, and she was alone, except she wasn't. Her dog, a medium-sized mixed breed she'd adopted 3 years earlier, had been sleeping at the foot of her bed. The moment Sarah got up, the dog followed. Not unusual. Dogs often shadow their owners, especially at night. But what happened next was different. When Sarah fell, the dog didn't just watch. It didn't curl up beside her or wait for her to recover. It started barking. Loud, relentless, urgent barking that echoed through the entire house. Sarah, barely conscious, tried to quiet the dog. She didn't want the neighbors to complain. But the dog wouldn't stop. And then it did something she'd never seen it do before. It ran. Here's where the story gets remarkable. Because what the dog did next wasn't random. It was deliberate. Sarah's house had a doggy door that led to a small fenced backyard. The dog bolted through it, ran to the front gate, a gate it had never opened before, and somehow managed to push it ajar. Then it ran into the street at 2 a.m. The neighborhood was quiet. No cars, no pedestrians, just empty sidewalks under streetlights. But the dog kept running, barking the entire time, until it reached a house 4 doors down. That house belonged to Sarah's neighbor, Mike. He was a night owl, often up late working in his garage. And that night he heard the barking. At first, he ignored it. Dogs bark. It happens. But this was different. The barking was frantic, non-stop, and getting closer. When he stepped outside, he saw Sarah's dog in his driveway, barking directly at him. Mike recognized the dog immediately. He'd seen it on walks with Sarah dozens of times, but he'd never seen it like this, agitated, desperate, refusing to leave. "What's wrong, buddy?" he called out. The dog turned and ran back toward Sarah's house. Then it stopped, looked back at Mike, and barked again. Mike hesitated. It was late. Maybe the dog had just gotten out, but something about the urgency made him follow. The dog led him straight to Sarah's front door. Mike knocked. No answer. He knocked again, louder this time. Still nothing. The dog was still barking, pacing in circles on the porch. Mike tried the door. It was unlocked. He opened it and called Sarah's name. Silence. The dog ran inside, straight to the bathroom. Short Start Mike followed and found Sarah on the floor, barely responsive, her skin pale and clammy, her breathing shallow. He didn't know about her diabetes. He didn't know what was happening, but he knew it was bad. He called 911 immediately. The operator asked if she was breathing. She was, barely. They told him to keep her awake if possible, stay with her, and wait for the paramedics. Mike knelt beside her, talking to her, trying to keep her conscious. The dog sat next to Sarah's head, its nose pressed against her cheek, whining softly. The ambulance arrived 6 minutes later. The paramedics recognized the signs instantly. Short end, they administered a glucagon injection, got her glucose levels stabilized, and transported her to the hospital. By the time Sarah was coherent enough to understand what had happened, the sun was rising. And the first thing she asked about was her dog. The nurses told her the story. How the dog had barked, how it had gone for help, how it had led Mike straight to her. Sarah broke down crying. Not from fear or relief, though both were there, but from the overwhelming realization of what her dog had done without training, without being told. Her dog had known something was wrong, and it had solved a problem no dog should be able to solve. So how did this happen? How did a dog with no medical training detect a life-threatening emergency and take coordinated action to save its owner? Short Start, the answer lies in two things: biology and bond. First, the biology. Dogs have up to 300 million olfactory receptors in their noses. Humans have about 6 million. When Sarah's blood sugar dropped, her body chemistry changed. She began releasing different volatile organic compounds through her breath and skin, subtle chemical signals that humans cannot detect, but dogs absolutely can. Short-end studies have shown that dogs can detect changes in blood sugar levels with remarkable accuracy. Some diabetic alert dogs are trained specifically for this, but Sarah's dog had no formal training. It simply recognized that something was wrong because the scent profile of its owner had shifted. Second, the bond. This is the part that science is only beginning to understand. Dogs do not just live with us, they study us. They learn our routines, our moods, our baseline normal. When something deviates from that normal, even subtly, they notice. Sarah's dog had spent 3 years sleeping beside her, walking with her, existing in her daily rhythm. It knew what normal Sarah looked and smelled and sounded like. And when that changed, the dog didn't just notice, it cared enough to act. But here's the most extraordinary part: the decision to seek help. Running to a neighbor's house isn't instinct, it's problem solving. It's the dog understanding that it couldn't fix the problem alone, so it needed to find someone who could. That level of cognitive reasoning, of understanding cause and effect, of seeking external help, puts Sarah's dog in rare company. And it reveals something profound about the intelligence and emotional depth of the animals we share our lives with. Sarah spent 2 days in the hospital. The doctors adjusted her insulin regimen, reviewed her monitoring protocols, and made sure she had systems in place to prevent another episode. But when she came home, everything felt different. Not because of the medical scare, though that was real, but because of the way she saw her dog. Before that night, she loved her dog. Of course she did. But it was the kind of love you have for a companion, a pet, a source of comfort and joy. After that night, the love deepened into something else: gratitude, reverence, a recognition that this creature had given her something she could never repay. Sarah started paying closer attention. She noticed things she'd overlooked before: the way her dog would rest its head on her lap when she was stressed, the way it would nudge her hand if she'd been sitting still too long, the way it would position itself between her and strangers on walks, not aggressively, but protectively. These weren't random behaviors. They were signs of a dog that was deeply attuned to its owner, a dog that was always watching, always aware, always ready. Sarah also started researching. She learned about scent detection, about canine cognition, about the stories of other dogs who'd saved their owners. And she realized her story wasn't an anomaly. It was part of a larger truth. Dogs are capable of extraordinary acts of loyalty and intelligence when the people they love are in danger. But here's what struck her most. Her dog didn't do it for praise. It didn't do it for treats or recognition. It did it because Sarah was in trouble, and that was reason enough. That kind of love, unconditional, selfless, instinctive, is rare. And Sarah knew she'd been given a gift. Most of us will never experience a moment like Sarah's. Most of our dogs will never have to save our lives. But that doesn't mean the bond isn't there. It doesn't mean the capacity isn't there. Your dog is watching you. Right now, they know your routines better than you think. They can read your body language, your tone of voice, the subtle shifts in your mood that you do not even notice yourself. And if something were to go wrong, if you fell, if you needed help, if you were in danger, there's a very real chance your dog would respond. Maybe not in the same way Sarah's dog did. Maybe not with the same level of problem solving, but they would try, because that's what dogs do. The question is, are we honoring that bond in return? Are we paying attention to what our dogs are telling us? When they nudge us, when they stay close, when they refuse to leave our side, are we dismissing it as clinginess, or are we recognizing it as communication? Sarah's story is a reminder that the relationship we have with our dogs is deeper than we often give it credit for. They're not just pets. They're partners, protectors, companions who would risk everything for us without hesitation. And maybe that's the real lesson here. Not that dogs can save lives, though they can, but that the bond we share with them is sacred. It's built on trust, on presence, on the thousands of small moments we spend together. And when we invest in that bond, when we train with kindness, when we listen, when we show up fully, we are not just making our dogs better. We're deepening a connection that might, one day, mean everything. Remember the question from the beginning. What Sarah's dog did that defied everything we think we know? It wasn't just detecting the emergency. It wasn't just barking for help. It was the choice. The decision to leave Sarah's side, even though every instinct told it to stay and find someone who could help. That's not training. That's not instinct. That's love translated into action. And it is a reminder that the dogs sleeping at our feet right now are capable of far more than we realize. If this story moved you, I'd love to hear about your own dog. Have they ever surprised you with their awareness or protectiveness? Share your experience in the comments. I read every single one, and these stories matter. And if you want more videos about the incredible things dogs can do and the science behind the bond we share with them, subscribe to the channel. Every week, I break down stories like this and what they teach us about training, connection, and the animals we're lucky enough to call family. Thanks for watching, and go give your dog a hug. They've earned it. Thanks for watching. If you loved this video, scan the QR code on the screen right now to subscribe and join the Pawsome Life family. Give your dog a belly rub for us, and we will see you in the next video.